Welcome back to day 4. So today we're going to kick off our shoes, get some bare feet so that we can start to build better awareness within our system and within our body. Because the reality is there's no one way for anything. There's no one way to squat because our hips can have different structures, even within the hip socket, within the bones, with the way that they're positioned. And so it's going to allow for people to move differently, and that's okay. So it's just about getting to know what's necessary for you. Also knowing that it is okay to allow those knees to go past the toes. It is okay to start to utilize more than just our glutes, because that's a lot more is working than just our glutes when it comes to squats. So first thing, we always want to see where's our balance. Balance is so crucial, especially as we start to age. And what happens sometimes is if our knee starts to hurt, we see osteoarthritis, we hear that diagnosis, we stop moving as much. And when we stop doing exercise, that actually increases our fall risk as well as a lot of other diseases. We don't want that. We want to keep moving. So getting to know where your balance is first and seeing how you can work on that is key. So first of all, kick off your shoes. When we're balancing on your foot, the thing that you want to feel are your 3 arches. Yes, we have 3 arches in our foot, not just 1. So we want our heel, the ball of the foot, and under the pinky toe to all be working. So I'm going to come onto my foot, and if you're not used to spreading those toes, working those toes, scroll on my Instagram page, because I promise I have a lot about feet on there. And you're going to, not with a straight leg, but just unlock the knee just a little bit so it's kind of loose. And then you're going to bring the opposite leg all the way up as high as you can and hold and balance. Now here, with your eyes open, without your arms flailing all over the place, with your arms at your side, you should be able to hold this for at least 10 seconds, if not 30 seconds. Solid, without going anywhere, okay? Now, if you can't, and you're noticing a lot of wobbliness and a lot of issues happening, you got to work on it, okay? And as simple as just, am I holding this? You could be brushing your teeth, you could be drying dishes. You can get creative in how you can add balance back into your life without having to take a bunch of time. And when you're doing other tasks, rather than putting something squishy under your foot, you can actually just add another task, because that's going to increase the balance and the stability that we need. We're working our foot, but not only do we work our foot when we balance, we work our glute, we work our inside of our thigh, we work our quad, we work all the way around, even at the front of that foot, that shin area. We're working everything when we work on balance, and it is so, so crucial to building in the strength within the body. So if you're lacking balance, take this as a sign. You get to work on it. Figure out ways that you can implement it and take off those shoes and start doing it more throughout the day. Next, we're going to see what's happening in that squat. So I'm going to have you assess by actually coming down to the ground first. So we're going to lie on your back, and all you're going to do is lift one leg up and out. And you kind of see, where does it naturally fall? If my back is straight on the floor and I just lift this knee up without it pinching or causing any pain, where does my foot need to go? Where does my knee need to go? Okay, if it's straight in front, I might not have that range in order to come up very high, so I might need it off to the side a little bit. And then, can I lift that knee comfortably? If it has to go way out, it might not feel so good, so you might notice, okay, there. And then you kind of see your foot. If I draw my foot back, how far off of neutral is it? Now I know this is kind of a rough estimate as to what your squat should be looking like, but this really gives you a good idea, without gravity helping me or anything, keeping my back straight and flat. Where should I go? Should it be a little bit more narrow? Is that really hard? Should it be a really wider? Okay, this really helps to gauge where can my knee kind of come naturally and feels good, and then flex the feet back. So you see, some people turn their feet way too far out when they're going and setting up into a squat, and you realize it doesn't need to go out that far. Okay, another test that you can do really quickly is just literally jump and land. So if I jump and I land, where do my feet naturally go? And they kind of go out to that natural kind of diagonal position that when I was lying on my back, and just having them naturally out. So again, just jump, land, wherever it naturally lands. If it's way out here, we might have some work to do. You might want to go back to laying on your back and then measuring that way. So this is a good, giving you two different ways to kind of see what is natural for your body. Another way is just to kind of like duck walk it out and then see what is natural for your body, wherever that lands. Again, if your foot has a tendency to go really far out, the knees will then have the tendency to go really far in. If the feet are too far, but your hips don't have that range of motion, as you squat, the knees are gonna go in. So this is a really good way of starting to see, okay, where does my body even need to be in space in order to start to feel and go into something different. All right, now we're gonna address hip positioning in the squat. So Dom, poof me. Thank you. All right, so you don't have to have a poof. You can have a big rolled up blanket, a huge towel, a big pillow even. But what we're gonna do is hold something that's a little wide for our arms, because let me show you what happens when you do that. It's pretty cool. So as I'm in this position, if I am going to pop it off my chest, so if I'm here, you can see how my back kind of takes a lot of pressure and I'm kind of holding it. But now if I hug my arms around this pillow, my poof, and then I push it off of my body, naturally, I come into this position, so squeezing into that poof, like pushing my elbows into it, pulling my shoulders down, it naturally kind of locks my rib cage down. So now I can't be in this sticking out position because then I really feel my low back. So it takes you out of that booty position here and it helps to stack that rib cage. So I'm squeezing that poof in front of me, or physio ball, something that's not too heavy, because we're not trying to go for work here or load. We're just working on positioning. So I'm squeezing it in and I have my feet in that natural position. Squeeze it, breathe out, and it kind of pushes my rib cage right over my pelvis. Now as I'm going down, I want to think of my knees turning out. Okay, that's gonna help to turn on my glutes, but I'm also gonna keep that ball of the foot on the floor. So ball of the foot on the floor, knees turned out, squeezing this poof, and then I'm just going to slowly glide it down, and whoo, I have so much more range of motion. And then coming right back up, okay? You get a squeeze in your glutes, even at the bottom here. So at the bottom here, open those knees, breathe out, and come up. Breathe in, breathe out. This breath pattern is just going to help so you start to work the muscles that should be going and activating, especially as we come up. A squeeze in the glutes don't happen at the top of a squat, they happen at the bottom. Opening those knees, pressing from those feet, using that breath to guide out. It helps to lift the pelvic floor, squeeze and engage the glutes, and keep that core nice and contracted. So you start to put all these pieces together, and then we start to feel the feet, feel the glutes, feel the legs. Yes, we're putting pressure on those knees, but we're also using the core and we're assisting everything else. So you get way more depth, more range of motion, less pressure on the knees, and everything in the body working. So work on this, work on your balance, get to know your squat, try to find your positioning, work through this. It's okay, maybe you need to try it a little bit different positions. This is a great one that I love, just to help to get awareness of what this rib cage is doing over the pelvis, because we don't want to be like this going into the squat. We want it to be stacked, okay? And even as we come down, even if it's just here, we're just still getting to know our body, okay? Building this awareness helps us so that we can progress. So come progress with me tomorrow and I'll take you through a lot more exercises so we really start to work that body, and I'll teach you and show you the beginning steps of what progressive overload can feel like in your knees.